Hey everyone, so today I am going to try to fix my Bertazzoni oven, which has been broken for the last few days. My model is the X366GGVX, and yours might be similar to this or it might be slightly different, so make sure to check your part numbers carefully. So what's happened is that my oven has stopped working. I've gone ahead and already taken off the bottom part of this and taken out the racks, obviously, so yours probably will not look like this immediately. But what happened was that it would light up in the oven and initially heat for about 10 minutes, and then just the flame would go out. It would stop heating altogether, and I could not get it to light again until the temperature had decreased significantly to the point where it just wasn't working at all. So there are two pieces in here that you need to worry about. One is the igniter, which is this piece, and then this is the thermocouple, which I've already detached. And so I'm going to try to replace this piece. I've taken off the bottom part here. That's really easy to do. There are two screw holes, one there and one there. And then you can just lift that off and you'll see this underneath. And these guys are just held on with little brass clamps, like this guy. So you just pop the clamp and then this comes loose. And I have gone ahead and ordered a replacement. And it looks like this, shiny new. So I'm going to try to put that in. So one of the first things you'll want to do is take off everything from the top of the stove. That means all these grates come off, the burner caps, everything on here that can be removed should be removed and placed off to the side, because what's going to happen is this whole top piece will need to be lifted up. Just a quick tip: when you're taking off the top of the stove, you need to remove all these little screws around the burners. These all have to come out. And when they do come out, they all look the same, but they're not actually quite the same. For instance, this burner, the screws are a little bit larger, though to the eye, they almost look identical to these guys, but they're different. So just a word of warning when you're putting them back in, it might be helpful to kind of organize them and keep them so that you know where to put them back, so they go back to the same burner, basically. After you've got everything off the top of the stove, the next thing to do is to get access to the back of it, which generally means pulling it out from the wall. And this is probably what you'll find. There's a black electrical line, and the yellow is gas. Be extremely cautious with the gas. If you don't know what you're doing around gas, ask for help or hire a professional, because you don't want to mess around with a leaky gas line. To take off the top of the range, you'll need to remove all the screws under each burner cap. And in addition, there are these two metal tabs that hang down in the back. And each of those metal tabs have two screws that will have to come off as well. Once that happens, you can lift up the top of the oven and it should come up fairly easily. And when you've got the top off, you'll find the brains of the oven underneath. When you're facing the back of the oven, the thermocouple lead comes out the lower right-hand side of the oven, and you'll need to remove a few screws on the back panel to get access to it. There's two on the right-hand side and two along the top that will need to be removed to allow you access to where that lead comes out. So the lead comes out the lower right, goes up the back of the oven, and across the top of the range underneath the burners, and comes directly underneath the dual burner where it connects. It's a little hard to get access to, but with a 5/16 wrench and some finger work, you can get that loose and pull that right out of there. And then go down to the lower right and pull out the lead from within the oven itself. If you remove the brass clamp before, it should come out fairly easily. There's nothing else holding it in there. So just thread that right out. When I pulled mine out, the probe end actually fell off, which is probably why it was failing to begin with. You might need to snip a few zip ties along the way to get the old lead out completely. That's not a big deal. Just keep track of them, and if you want to replace them, that's a good thing to do. So then I put the new probe in through the bottom hole and into the oven, and I attached it with a brass clamp. And once you've got it snapped back on, it should be all set. I don't think you need to adjust it any further than that. At that point, you'll want to just run the thermocouple up the back side, kind of recreating the path of the one that you've replaced. Under the burners along the top, right back under that dual burner, and you'll feed it right back into that hole where the old one came out of. And make sure to use a wrench to get that nice and tight so that connection is good. And I replaced some of the zip ties that I'd taken off before just to neaten things up again. And once you've done all that, in theory, you'll have replaced that thermocouple lead exactly where the old one came out of, along a very similar path, right along under the burners and back over under that dual burner. And you should be good to go. So now everything is put back together, and the stove is back in place, and put the top back on and the back on, and the burners and burner caps and all that. Seems to be in pretty good shape. I haven't put the oven floor back in there yet, but you can see the new thermocouple there. And I'm just going to go ahead and test it and hope we have ignition. Oh, looks like we do. We got flame, the fan is on, looking good. Well, I think we've done it. We seem to have a fully functional oven again, so that little process appears to have worked, at least for the time being. I did a little testing, and I put the racks back in, and the floor of the oven is screwed back in. Again, it's this screw over here and this one over here that will release it. I had the oven cooking at 500 degrees for a good 15-20 minutes, and it never shut off. Seems to be holding the heat. If anything, it seemed to warm up faster, though I don't know if that's my imagination. Anyway, replacing the thermocouple seems to have done the trick, so I'm pretty happy, and I hope this helps you. Thanks for watching.